What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Thor. His name is Nullus. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Set. His name is Completely Broke, but better known as Shelty. This is a game I saw on the old Voobly ladder, and I wanted to watch it. Set versus Thor on Tundra. The reason I wanted to watch this one is because of a strategy. I'm not sure if this is what Shelty's going to do or not, but the common strategy for Set against Odin, Set and Isis against Odin, is to go for a Nubites, right? So you wouldn't do this strategy against a Loki player who goes 4-city and has access to Hall of Thane's Herser. The reason you do it against Odin is because they don't have access to 4-city, and those Anubites are much more difficult to deal with. Thor, on the other hand, does indeed have access to 4-city, so you can get yourself Hall of Thane's Herser if you need to. And the reason I wanted to watch this was because I wanted to see what Nullus is going to be trying to do here with Thor against Set on a high hunt map like Tundra. Technically, high hunt means a very favorable matchup for Norse generally. However, Set also enjoys high hunt maps, so it's a bit of a, well, both players have got their dream environment. Who's going to be able to apply pressure or deflect pressure the best? And we'll watch this game and see what's going to happen here. We are seeing early Dwarven Gold Mine by Nullus. Now, you guys know what I feel about this, but for those of you who do not, I strongly believe that Thor does not need this early game boost, and you will lose so many more games, or you will lose more games than you win by casting this early, because of the fact that you can cast it in the classical age for 1500 gold, which will push that timing back 2-3 minutes, or 2 minutes probably, that you need to go to a second gold mine. Alternatively, you can cast it in the heroic age if you get a good semi-fast heroic, which a lot of the times you want to do with Thor, and then cast it then, never having to leave your base at all, at least until you're super set up and have like access to frost or flaming weapons, and be completely fine. And now, I have been seeing a lot of strong Norse players, Thor players, specifically Soup, going for the early Dwarven Gold Mine with Thor for the past, a couple of months, 6 months, I guess, and having a lot of success in the early game. But if that success doesn't actually eventuate, which a lot of the times, especially when players get better and better at dealing with it, it's not going to work, then you have to resort back to old ways. So it's, in a way, I feel like it's a little bit cheese. But anyways, we'll see how this game's going to go. Nullus is going to be advancing fairly soon. You can see that he's basically doing a fairly standard advance time, just neglecting one ox cart. So he's going to be advancing relatively quickly, but we'll see what Shelty's going to be doing here. Shelty looking to go for, he's going for a 3:15 advance time, and he didn't quite get it. In fact, resulted in his 3:30-ish, just a little bit faster than 3:30. No monuments here, and he is going through Tar. So this is unfortunately not our dreaded Anubis play here from Shelty. Makes me a little bit sad to see that, but we'll see what Shelty's going to be doing nonetheless here. It looks like he's going for a fast second town center, which, I mean, I've tried this against Norse. You go for a fast second town center, and then you go in with Swimmen, and you go for some raids and some shifting sands defense. Is really, really strong for Set, especially if you have 2 monuments and you can be building Hunt in your base. But it doesn't look like Shelty's got any monuments, so he's going to have to actually fight for his food, unlike everyone, unlike other Set players. Like, let's not name any names. Okay, so all right, so Freya is the god of choice here for Nullus as well. I think this is a small mistake here from him. I think you do go 4-city in this matchup with Thor, but we'll see how it's going to go. There's the vision inside of Nullus's base. It looks like there might be a shifting sands there onto those goats. Is he's going to steal those? He's actually given away his town center grab there as Shelty shifting sands those those sheep onto the town center, but that's going to get shot up incredibly fast here. Nullus is not going to be able to do all too much here to stop that, but 6 goats for Shelty, and no more classical age god power though. Well, Pharaoh needs to be empowering this one. It's not happening. There we go. So this is a big deal here for Shelty to steal those goats, because it basically, you don't really need them as set, but what it means is you've taken them away from the Norse player, such that the Norse player now is not going to have that safe food on their town center that they're normally going to be used to having. However, not having shifting sands means you're not going to be able to steal early game units away from the opponent and kill them off with a good shifting sands. So it's all going to be an interesting one to see if it's going to eventually be useful here for Shelty or not. Now, we are seeing an armory coming down here for Shelty. I think this is incredibly greedy, going for a 2-town center fast heroic against Thor. Allows the Thor player to do whatever he wants to do. And what does he want to do is the question. He's making himself raiding cavalry from 2 longhouses. He's got a handful of Herso sitting on his food over here. The Valkyrie going to be spotting this location, potentially casting a forest fire here, and the village is going to be retreating. I like that he's held that forest fire. There's a couple of forests around the map that are especially on Tundra, but a lot of other maps as well, that can be very, very useful to open up in the mid game or even in the late game. I've never really seen forest fire held to the late game, but when all the walls get set up, you can make that forest fire happen, just like in the campaign where you make it an escape away from those mountain giants or the giants in that level. But you could also use it to get into their little spot as well. So we'll see how this is going to go. Walls coming up over here for Nullus, just making sure he's going to get his access safely on that second gold mine. I do love this here from Nullus. Early game walls with Norse, especially with Thor, severely underutilized because you've always got that boosted gold economy from making those cheaper dwarves. So those walls end up being basically free because you have saved the gold on the dwarves that you've been making. So nice play here from Nullus to be securing that before he has to actually worry about it later. And this is something that I theory crafted is going to be something that happens in all Age of Empires games, especially Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 4. In the near future is just going to be early game walls. I guess it's going to be so oppressive. Maybe they'll do something about that there, but I don't know. Anyways, neither here nor there. Nice raids here, picking off a priest, picking off an Auroch, trying to get that Auroch back home. If you can kill that one off, that's a reduction of like 300 food or something, or hunt. But nice play from Nullus to get in there and get some nice kills off. But I imagine we are going to be seeing... Oh, we are seeing the Spearman. It was a very, very late Spearman, if I'm honest. And as the forest fire comes in, opening up this town center quite a lot. I am genuinely surprised. This is late Spearman here from Shelty. I thought 100% he was going to the heroic age here, but he feels like he needs those Spearmen to defend, which basically gives Nullus the green light to get a second town center. As soon as you see those Spearmen, you're like, okay, my opponent isn't going to be hitting me with any crazy timings with siege towers, chariots, scorpion men, which is really hard to defend in the classical age, right? So if they go for Spearmen, you can just go, okay, I'm going to go second town center, and I'm going to get some booming happening. So that makes a lot of sense now from Nullus to be doing this, and he can actually, in effect, he can actually just cut military units and go heroic age himself here, or even start throwing axemen and nothing else, in an attempt to go to the heroic age and live the dream where that's concerned. Problem for Nullus right now is he doesn't really know where his hunt is. So he knows that he should know that there's some hunt down here, but he doesn't know exactly where it is, and he is going to have to make the trek over there. And I imagine Shelty is going to be looking for some sort of raids here with his spearmen. He has netted himself the medium spearman upgrade, moving on to these goat as well. Does he have himself husbandry? No, he doesn't have husbandry. Is he getting it? Yes, he is. Okay, it's all Gucci. All Gucci. And then he can actually think about getting himself Shadoof, which he is, and start really having a decent transition into the farms. And we'll see if that's going to work for him or not. Because now Nullus's food situation has really propelled himself up into the high numbers here, 800. So he actually has enough to do a lot of good stuff here. Oh, Shelty getting completely caught out here as a raiding cavalry coming through. You have to have some sort of a realization about at what point do I have an advantage to push out with my army if I've gone 2 town centers? The fact is, right now, Shelty's in front on villages, but behind on military, whereas Nullus is going to be trying to catch up on villages. So you have to wait basically until your full population, if you've gone far second town center against someone who's 1 town center, to actually have those fights work in your favor. So Shelty retreating back to his town center now. Nullus going to have to pull back here. He's not going to want to fight underneath that town center just yet. Too much damage. Nephthys is coming through here for Shelty. There is an opportunity for a timing here, it would seem, as Nullus not advancing just yet. Doesn't have the economy to advance. He does have himself pickaxe. Might be worth it to get shaft mine here as well, just to skyrocket that food up a little bit. I've seen these villagers kind of just moving around to the corners of the map. There's an orc over here he can eat as well. I like that play there from Nullus. You kind of know that there's food everywhere on the map, though it seemingly looks like Nullus was heading to a place where there's not really a lot of food. But he does find a polar bear nonetheless, as more walls are coming up. Again, love this play here from Nullus. It wouldn't be a bad idea for Nullus to invest in stone walls here either. Stone walls is one of those technologies which I think a lot of players neglect in favor of building multiple walls. You don't need to. Just get stone walls. It's about the same cost. It's a double wall everything, maybe even cheaper. And it is in effect double walls, because it gives you double the HP plus some double the effective HP. I think you get 600. Oh, you get 600 HP, so you get more than double the HP, and you get hack vulnerability, so more effective HP against hack damage. Nice raid coming in here though from Nullus, hitting these villages as they're going to be pulling away from the gold mine. Nice play from Nullus to get a couple of villager picks before retreating away as the spearmen come in to defend. Shelty having no walls set up just yet. A bit of a mistake here. He hasn't really secured this gold mine at all yet. He is mining from it. He hasn't secured this hunter, or not hunt, these berries over here. So that could be a potential raiding situation there for Nullus, as he's going to be moving forward. But the spearmen are here, so they're going to get a little bit of damage if they choose to fight at all. They're choosing not to. Fair enough. And Nullus retreating back. And now Shelty pushing through here. He's going to break through this wall. Going to be looking for some sort of ancestors, a timing attack here. But Nullus is on the way through Skadi, 85% of the way to the heroic age. We do have heavy spearmen in though, so that's going to be a really big help for Shelty. The big thing that Shelty actually needs here though is a Migdol stronghold, which he doesn't have. He needs a Migdol stronghold. He does not need this town center. He needs a Migdol stronghold, and he needs chariot archers to be coming in here. And there's an ancestors getting cast on this position, but Nullus has got frost, and that makes no sense. I mean, but he misses half the units here, so we got 20 heavy spearmen moving in onto this position. So maybe it made a little bit of sense. I would have liked Shelty to pull his villagers back when the ancestors was cast, but now the army going to be pushing in here, trying to get some value. Lots of units currently not fighting for Shelty, so you have to be careful if you're Nullus though, to be making sure you attack the correct unit, not the frosted units, the units that aren't frosted. Otherwise, you're doing no damage. Not no damage, but very little damage. But with the help of this hill fort, the Ulf Jarls coming out, the strong throwing axemen in the back. Wouldn't be surprised to see Nullus getting himself heavy infantry as well behind this. But Nullus's economy is good. Nullus has got the control of this position. Shelty has to think about where he's going to go now, because he can't. His timing is kind of fell flat on its head. Nullus with lots of resources in the bank. Shelty with no resources in the bank, but he is going through Horus. So he's managed to hit an incredibly good Mythic Age time here. So we'll see, will the tornado be enough here or not? Nullus, on the other hand, he's starting to throw up those farms. He's getting his economy sorted. He doesn't have a market up just yet. Villagers pulling back. The spearmen are not going to be the unit composition which Shelty wants here. That is for sure, against all of those throwing axemen. So he needs to have chariots, or he needs to start making axemen to mix in with those spearmen. And to be honest, like, if you do mix in, we're seeing a third town center up for Nullus. If you do mix in some axemen here and get Axe of Vengeance, it can actually be really, really strong to hit some raids against your opponent with those axemen, especially a Norse opponent. But Shelty, it doesn't look like he's planning that yet. He's got the favor for only one Horus technology at this point. Oh, raids coming through. The villagers pulling back nicely. The dwarves preemptively pulling back as the spearmen have been noticed. Nice play there from Nullus to not overstay there. Just respect the fact that there's spearmen in his base and then just wait inside the town center. No problems there as the spearmen are going to be viciously searching for somewhere else to go here. As they're looking somewhere over there. We've got the raiding cavalry getting taken down. Town center going up 2,000 HP on said town center. And we've even got an Nullus over here on these on this hunt, these berries as well. Love the usage of every single one of those resources. Get as much as you can. Now, do you tornado the hometown center here is the question, and it looks like that's exactly what Shelty is going to be doing here, as we don't see any upgrades there on that town center. Third town center coming down now for Shelty as well, and this town center should fall because there's no upgrades. If you have masons and you have fortified town centers, the town center will live against tornado, but the immediate damage there being done, as now we're going to be seeing the follow-up. The Rhinos of Set coming through. These units here from Shelty not actually strong enough to fight this at this point. Needs those spearmen in this army here. Those slingers are actually relatively important because he needs to be using those to take down the throwing axemen, but it is seemingly looking like Nullus has to pull back. Shelty has a slight advantage here, but he doesn't have any siege to push through. Now, a lot of you guys are like, would say this. Maybe you don't have to click tornado straight away, but I think the more prominent thing is, yes, you do need to click it straight away, but you need to have siege behind it, as we are going to be seeing the town center shooting up here for Nullus. He's kind of just defending over here. The double Avenger is going to be looking for some villager kills here, as a Frost Giant does get created. The villagers getting taken down very, very fast over here by the Avengers. Shelty needs to micro this one, and he does do so nicely there, getting away from that Frost Giant, as we are seeing the Spearman moving through here as well, looking for something to attack, as now the Migdol Stronghold on the front here for Shelty. Shelty's got a slight advantage here, but there is a Mythic Age that is going to be impending here for Nullus. He can pick Tyr, he can pick Ragnarok, doesn't really matter. So we are going to be seeing the Dwarven Armory getting taken down here, as Shelty pulling back now. Migdol Stronghold trying to come up on the front, as we're going to be moving in here, and the Slingers going to take down these throwing axemen as well. And we'll see how this is going to go. Shelty does have a bit of a crisis in his economy right now. He's only got 17 villages on wood with 2,500 wood in the bank. He needs to be having closer, with the army that he's currently building, closer to like 30 villages on food. So he's very, very macro orientated here, and he's losing a lot of these Avengers very, very shortly here. The dwarves turning around, fighting this one, as the Frost Giants do come in, and they both get their special ability on. This means these Avengers are down, and Shelty decides in that moment to tap out. I think that's a little bit of an early tap out, if you ask me. However, there is reason for it, and the reason being that Shelty not happy with his economy at all. He'd have to really sort that out a lot better, and he's currently only at 108 population compared to Nullus' 145. A bit of a weird one, to be honest, because, I mean, a lot of the advantage that Shelty has here is in those Avengers running around killing villagers, and the fact that they are both lost to the Frost Giants means he's got no more potential for raids, and Nullus's Mythic Age would be coming in anytime soon now, because there's no way to put more pressure onto his opponent. And I just think that, well, I mean, it's nice to see a Norse win here, but if Shelty makes Chariot Archers here, then these throwing axemen do a lot less damage. If he makes siege weapons in tandem with the tornado timing here, then he pushes through the front and he can possibly get 4 town centers to 2 town center advantage. If he sorts his economy out and gets more closer to 30 villagers on food, then those spearmen are going to be able to get trained at a much quicker rate, much better. This is something that happens a lot with set players in particular, because you're used to spending all of that wood on Chariot Archers, but if you don't build Chariot Archers, you just net all of this wood that you don't have anything to spend on, and it's just not going to be it. So nice try here from Shelty with the tar, nice second town center, nice usage of the shifting sands to slow his opponent down, but better play here from Nullus. Good walls, good defense. And I do think if this game had continued, that Nullus would have been completely fine here and been able to push through this town center and take the dub here with Tyr or Ragnarok here. If you guys enjoy this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.